having my team do new show intros. So like NBA will have their own, NFL will have their own, and golf will have their own. And my team was like, well, what do you want for the golf show intro? I said, well, every bad take Keith has, put that in.
I mean, it's only going to get you like 3 seconds.
And then I said, edit out his Rangers gear for a Leafs jersey.
I mean, it could be close today if I was a little lower. I don't know.
Yeah. No, you're here. You're good. We're good. I
feel safer than being in Kentucky.
I mean, how about that, dude? I mean, first of all, here's my thing.
Let's do it.
I argued, I contended with, listen, I could not win the war from architecture standpoint in the Twitter streets. A lot of it was a bit for me, but listen, I was sticking up for Valhalla. The players seemed to like it.
Yeah.
It's maybe not the best course for a major championship, but I'm telling you, I do not think that golf professionally will not be back in Louisville because it's this. You get 200,000 fans in that size of a stadium. It's guaranteed rev, right? And they're jacked up, and they had a great time. I don't know what your thoughts were taking away. You were there.
I mean, if you want me to go there, I'll go there. But
go there.
It's I mean, the architecture, the architecture freaks and the scoring hypocrites. I mean, they just make me laugh. They make me absolutely laugh. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, right? We had an incredible championship. So who cares if it was 21 under? Who cares that 2 people shot 20 and 21 under? Like at the end of the day, we hadn't had a major that ended on the final putt in like 2+ years.
Yeah.
And we're going to complain about that because it was 21 under. And their best defense is like, well, it shouldn't be. That's not a major championship test. Who are you to say that it is? Right. And at the end of the day, if 20 under doesn't work and we should get rid of Valhalla, then I guess we can't use Augusta National either. Because in 2020,
COVID Augusta National was bad. I mean,
yeah, it was bad. Right. Like, but it was soft. And so was Valhalla. Like the people that are complaining about it weren't there. Okay. Yeah. It was super soft. You live out there. You know how much rain you've been getting.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. We got a lot.
They did the best they could. And the fact that everyone keeps complaining about, we had this nice championship with a great leaderboard and it was contested down to the very last second and it beat last year's ratings against the Game 7 in Madison Square Garden, right? It beat last year's ratings.
And you had the best leaderboard possible. It wasn't like Lee Hodges won, although he almost did. If that would have been bad.
Well,
but what do you think the score would have been? Could they have made the course firm and fast if it was dry all week or for the last couple of weeks?
If it was dry, then the score probably would have been between 12 and 14. My opinion, right? But I mean, when I got out there, it was so soft. Like it was so soft in the rough, right? That you were like, okay, this is going to be, these guys are going to go nuts. And then there was no wind, right? But the fact that you're complaining about the design of the golf course and then criticizing everything about what happened in the championship, A, means you don't understand what it takes to run a championship at that level. And then B, it's like you don't understand your place in the world. Because the fact of the matter is that golf's just not that big. And I know this is going to resonate with you. But we just took, right? We just took.
Yell it. Keith.
We just took the best player in the world. The best, right? And 10 cops from Kentucky didn't even know who he was. or even better, when the reporter said who he was, they didn't care. Right? So if you think that golf matters and you think that your opinion matters about architecture, right, then you're just not reading the tea leaves.
Listen, from the architecture standpoint, I agree. Those guys may win that argument. It's I'm on the business side of things, right? If you want to grow the game, if this phrase is being thrown around for the last 4 years about growing the game, fine. You had 200,000 plus people who don't give a shit about architecture. They care about the fact that it's exciting, that it's in their home state. Kentucky loves a party, and Bryson was amazing. That's what they care about. I mean, that is, you want to grow the game? That's the odd. We'll always have the architecture people, but don't let them spoil the fun, is the point.
I mean, the architecture people, the scoring people, they're all a bunch of hypocrites, because then when Liv comes up and they disrupt, then they complain about them. Well, you're being just as disruptive. Like, do something positive for the ecosystem. Like, we had a great championship. And instead of like bringing up negative press, right? Why not say something positive, right? Hey, they had really big challenges with the weather, right? Or it's like some big conspiracy that we won't go back to Valhalla, or the only reason we did go is because the PGA owned it. Well, of course that's true. And who knows if we will or won't go again. And that's why they're going to Frisco. But you're going to complain about then Gil Hans and what he did down there at Frisco? I mean, honestly, like it's like you give them a check with any amount on it and they complain about what color it is. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, you've never run a golf event in your life, you know? Start dotting scorecards on Ladies' Day for like 10 fucking years, and I will tell you what it's like to like deal with running a good golf tournament. They ran a really good championship. I mean, somebody died. Somebody died, and we're worried about the final score. It is absolutely ludicrous in my mind that's important to people.
Kentucky
Xander Schauffele overcame like career demons to get the job done. And like, he had everything stacked against him, right? Like, he's got that baseball swing. He's coming down the stretch. He knows everybody in the press room is asking him every day about not going wire to wire, about Rory last week,
about second place finishes. Yes.
I mean, the whole thing. And the guy like you couldn't be more happy. I was not a Xander backer last week. I was wrong. I did not have confidence in Xander because of his historical record. I will give that guy 1,000 victory laps, and anyone that backed him, you know, like, by all means, I think that's tremendous. But the idea that we're picking this event apart based upon the architecture of the golf course is just, you're not looking at the big picture.
Let me tell you.
It pays you to have an opinion. It's unbelievable.
Let me tell you the genesis of the frustration with people on that side is that Rory didn't win. If Rory won, it would be a much different conversation. But I was just a little exhausted with the big brands out there, not my team, but the big brands out there constantly snarking at Kentucky and Valhalla. I'm like, bro, this is growing the game. You got 220,000 bros out there. I mean, yes, did they arrest Scheffler? That was bad. Is downtown Louisville dangerous at night? Yeah, it can be. You know.
Oh, it was. Yeah, that's true. that's for sure. I mean, that was there's no doubt about that. I was staying at the Louisville Marriott. It was sketchy at best. But, you know, I mean, people told us that ahead of time. You know, I mean, hey, I'm on a 3-year run right now where we'll go backwards. I got Louisville. Did I say that right?
Louisville, yeah. You said Louisville. I let it go, but you said Louisville, so you're good. Go ahead.
Louisville. Mm-hmm. All right, let's back up a year. Rochester. I actually had to move. Last year, I got into a VRBO in Rochester, and I had to move midweek in with a member from Oak Hill because, like, it was bad. Don't go out at night, bad. And then the year before that, we had
Rochester.
Tulsa. Oh, it's terrible. Downtown Rochester, terrible. And then the year before that, we went to Tulsa. I mean, come on. Like, I can't, like, I don't know. It just really bugs me. You know, I've spent my whole life scrubbing hooks for lack of a better term. You know, like, I mean, doing everything I can behind the scenes to promote the game of golf. And I'm not going to use the world's famous phrase, but like, it just bugs me when people complain for the sake of complaining, or because they hear somebody else do it that they feel like they look up to, like, oh, no laying up say it, so I'm going to say it. Or Andy Johnson said it, so I'm going to say it. Like, at the end of the day, like, those people, they're entitled to their opinions, but look at the big picture of the ecosystem. There is so much negative energy around the tour, around live, around golf and everything. And then, like, you want more people to consume your product when all you do is make fun of the product? I don't get it. Like, where's the logic in that?
Because
you're smart about that stuff.
Well, I mean, look at you're part of a country club for a long time, right?
Yeah.
There is power in the elitism around drawing a square around the folks and your course that you're a member of, right? And so it it transfers itself to the professional game because a lot of people with status or behind the ropes or access or there is power and influence and some sort of heightened self to the fact that they are an elite in the golf space, and keeping people out is important to that status, right? A lot of these people aren't highly social, aren't business people, don't integrate well. If we had a one-on-one conversation face to face, they'd probably, put their hat down and wet their pants. But that's the problem in golf, is that you have to invite, we're going to have them regardless. And their opinion is good, but sometimes, we have to invite the people who just love the game, who love seeing Bryce. Listen, Bryson super impressed me. Super impressed.
God.
Amazing. I mean, he dumped the character, the science character. I guess he's not listening to his agents anymore about why that's ridiculous for him. And he's grown up, and now he's becoming this dude who just loves the game and just goes after it and cares about it and cares about the fans and cares about the kids. And I mean, that's the one guy at the end of the day that I really am now missing on tour. I think he's the biggest brand that the PGA Tour doesn't have.
No doubt. No doubt.
But there's, like, honestly, Valhalla or not, or architecture or not, this created the most memorable major perhaps ever. Scheffler. I mean,
yeah. I mean, it certainly did, and there's still more stories to come from it. I mean, you brought up Rory. Rory's going to have a lot on his plate soon. You mark my words.
What, business-wise or just personal?
TMZ-wise.
Are the things I'm reading about the personal things accurate in terms of the person that was involved with Rory? Okay. Yes. Fair enough. That's very surprising to me. But for another show.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be to go over there, like.
What are you writing down? There you go, Myron Kidd.
That's it.
We didn't say any names or say anything.
Nope. What does Kyle say? It was only 245 shots easier than the next PGA championship. What does that even mean? What's it mean?
Right. Kyle, what does it mean, Kyle?
What does that even mean?
Kyle's a friend of the show. Kyle,
but I don't understand why we're criticizing the score. Right? The golf course was soft. What did you want them to do? What did you want them to do in November in Augusta? But we still go there.
You want Wiley to shut down the rain machine in Kentucky? I don't have that power. Can I text the governor? Sure.
Hey, I'd never been to Churchill Downs before, and I went there on Saturday night. It was awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It was a lot of fun.
Where did you eat there?
I did not eat there. I got there after work.
You didn't eat at all? Just eating in Kentucky?
Oh, no. Where did I eat in Kentucky?
Yeah.
I didn't really eat anywhere worth talking about. No, the media center, McDonald's. I think I got a Jersey Mike's in one time. And
Jersey Mike's.
I mean, it's not like it's long hours on major weeks, man. Like when you're in the betting world, it's like you have to wait till the round ends, and then you got to wait for the tee times, and then you got to wait for the odds to be posted. So that's almost 90 minutes after the end of every round. We'll do the math on that when you're getting off at 8. They're getting off the golf course at 8:15 or whatever, right? Like you're posting content at 10 p.m. at night. So you find whatever you can to eat for the most part. So, it's a long day. And but that's why I'm there, like, so I love it, but I don't sit down at a bunch of like architecture dinners and like and like
I love it
about the steak the way it was cooked or whatever.
I love it. 17 minutes of Keith angry. I like angry Keith.
Oh my God. It's just so frustrating because it's just so obvious that we all need to work together to bring golf to a better place than it is. And if you don't realize how popular you are or golf is, then just look at the fact that your biggest star, right? Your biggest playing star. I get it. Tiger's a bigger star, but your biggest playing star right now wasn't even recognized. Or even worse, if they did recognize him, nobody cared. And they're still arraigning him. So nobody still cares. Like,
yeah. Yeah. I mean, it rates lower than volleyball worldwide. I mean, that's just the reality of it. So we need to change that. You've got a few stars who can change that for sure.
yeah, for sure. And Bryson was definitely one of them.
Bryson may be the one. I mean, someone asked, I think Andy put a great tweet out. He said, 1 for 1, would you trade Scottie for Bryson, and who hangs up first? And I'm like, at this point, I mean, Bryson was electric, right?
I don't get to see Bryson, DJ, Brooks, Rahm, those guys all but like 3 weeks a year anymore, right? And I miss them as a fan, but also as a handicapper. And like, I walked with Bryson and Victor on Sunday, and that was one of the best rounds that I've ever walked with or been a fan to watch on TV.
Why?
The electricity that those guys, like the relationship between the crowd and their competition, they like fed off of that. The crowd fed off of them making birdies, and they fed off the crowd cheering them on, and they made more birdies, right? Like,
I love that.
I mean, it was so good. And I'm very fortunate. I'm inside the ropes, but I'm also there working. So like, I'm not like slamming White Claws and like screaming and, betting on.
Although I would like that version. Is that Keith Stewart drunk on White Claws screaming at people?
We had some good nights last week late, Johnson Wagner's a great dude. Colt, everybody. I mean, but anyway, the point being is this, like that walk, that 5 hours of my life was so amazing. And the last putt by Bryson was so indicative of what that guy put into that round. The last rotation of the ball falls in the hole, Wiley. It was like that. That was every ounce of energy that guy had up into that point. He put into it. It's no wonder, like in the post-round press conference, he was just like, it was just verbal diarrhea, because like he gave it his all, and then that was it, right?
You mentioned Johnson Wagner. I put a tweet about Johnson Wagner out because I think he gives, as an ex-pro, a winner, I believe, on tour
3 times,
but now he has the chipping yips. He has the and that's sincere. That's like, he doesn't want to have them. He'd have them.
Oh no, we talked about it. Yeah.
What he does is he brings normalcy, and he protects an audience who really wants to like golf, but who's scared to comment on golf because of the elite class who's good at golf, who makes them feel stupid. I mean, that's it. I mean, no one wants to pick up a club or comment on golf because you get the snarks and the elites and the big brands attacking them. Yep. And then Johnson Wagner, who's done more in golf than any of those people combined, all of a sudden has the yips. I'm like, bang. That guy made me feel normal, right? That guy made everyone feel normal.
That's my whole point.
That is growing the game, you dumb fucks, at the PGA Tour and beyond.
I mean, and also, but all of the pundits that pontificate all week, and they just always criticize everything. Say something positive for once, right?
Yeah.
About anything, right? Golf gives you your livelihood. Support it in some fashion, right? I firmly believe that everybody was so wrapped up in Victor and Bryson, because Bryson was doing things like a mythological creature, right?
Oh yeah.
Like to quote Valhalla, right? He was like a Norse god. He was Thor. He was the god of thunder, right? If you don't know what Valhalla means, it's Thor's dad, Odin's palace. And that if you lost your life in battle, then that's where you went into the next land, into the next front, like the afterworld, right? And then you sat at that table with Odin, right? Well, his son was Thor, and Thor was all over Valhalla. It was unbelievable. And then you had the Victor story, but everyone knows he shot 81 at the Masters and missed the cut. And this guy's making birdies left and right. So you have the Johnson Wagner side of the Victor Hovland thing, where it's like, this guy's like me. He struggles too, but he's having a good day. I'm going to cheer for him. And he's got that really infectious smile. And then you got this other guy running around like he's Hercules. I mean, it was just so much fun. And then you had the other guy who was dealing with all those self-doubt and inner demons in Xander. Same thing with Morikawa, right? Like he's been on a bad run. Like there was all these great subplots, and you can't How could you complain about any of that?
It was great.
So good.
I don't think anyone's more exciting down the stretch. You can trust more to make a birdie at a clutch time than Bryson. I mean, he just like, it's almost automatic. I mean, Xander beat him. Bryson didn't beat himself.
I try to think there was a couple times, like the 6th hole when he putts in from off the green to make birdie. Really tough 6th hole there. He's in the kind of the chipping swale to the right. It was back right pin. And Bryson putts it in, but he makes it with like 3 feet of right to left break. That crowd right there, a moment. But for me, probably my favorite moment was on 10 when he bombs the drive. And then he hits that 6-iron from 240 onto the green. And he had to do it because he's chasing, right? And he does that. And he was like the muscles, like the skin was like popping off of him. His muscles were like, he was so pumped up about all that. And the whole crowd, like lining the fairways there, was like so like passionate about what was going on. It was just like, if you could bottle that up, right?
Yes. And then he
as popular as the World Cup. But
tosses a ball to a kid and a scammer takes it. And he there's not many guys on tour that walk back and say, you know what? Fuck you. You give that ball back. I was like, yeah, that's the guy I want.
I was like 20 feet in front of him there. I was on the pavement already of the road. Right. And I turned back and I was like, oh, geez, something out of the ordinary is happening back there. And then he's got the putter like pointing in the crowd. I'm like, what is even like what just because I didn't see the ball get thrown. Yes. I'm trying to walk fast and get out of the way. And like I was like, and then I saw the highlight on social media afterwards. I was like, that's what happened there. I was like, good on him, and then the amount of, positive feedback on that was great. It was great.
That's a guy who cares about the game. He cares about the growth of the game. He cares about the fans of the game. So, and listen, I've been negative in the past on golf, only because I didn't believe that the people in the power structure really understood or listened to the fans of golf and what would make it better. And I think they manipulated a lot of these players in the process. But I think that these players are really kind of getting it now, especially Bryson. Let's go ahead.
No, go ahead. We were done. We're done.
No, okay. Let's go to Colonial. All right. Yeah. So here's my thing with these big tournaments, big fields. Why are they doing it right after a major? I mean, this is an incredible field. Really? Historic golf course. Huh?
It's that good of a field?
I don't think so. I mean, it's for after a major, it's pretty good.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, there's really 5 guys there. Scottie, Colin, Jordan, Max, and Tony. Right? It's not. It was a signature event last year, but it's not this year. Right? So, I mean, it's a very good field for the week after a major. There's no doubt about that. I think proximity helps and Dallas helps. But overall, and a lot of these guys that are like, that don't get into majors that have to play, you get some of those good middle tier names from time to time, So
where do you think this leads Scheffler, by the way? I mean, this thing isn't going away at all. And I'm, I try to look at the personal side of things, the mindset side of things, that this could derail him for a little while, right?
So there's obviously it could be positive or it could be negative, right? So my whole point prior to Friday, Scheffler was not a known sports celebrity. He just wasn't, right? And now he is. Now he's a massive celebrity. So it really will have to do with how he reacts to that, right? Will Scottie get caught up in all of that? I really don't think he has the DNA to do that. But like sometimes the institution is stronger than the individual, right? Like, so I'm very hopeful he just keeps doing what he's doing. Or on the other side, it won't affect him at all, and it's just more fuel for his fire because he knows he would have won that thing by 5. There's no doubt in my mind that the way that guy was playing, he would have won that thing by 5 if he doesn't have to go through all of that rigmarole for 36 hours between Friday.
There was definitely an adrenaline hangover on Saturday, period.
And the loss of having his right-hand man, Ted Scott, which, as we are finding out more and more every tournament, that is very important to him, right? That Ted Scott is a huge part, not of his success, but maybe maintaining the consistency of his success.
Oh, yeah. They have a perfect partnership.
Very, very good. The best on tour. And that was not that could have been the absolute worst timing for him to go away. but it is what it is. But Scottie would have won that thing by 5. There's not a single doubt in my mind after being there for 8 days or whatever and watching everything that took place throughout the course of the week. You know, I mean, you can just like chop people off as the week went on, like the divorce. All right, Rory's done this week. All right. Like will Xander show up? Like big question mark. You know what I mean? Cantley was struggling on the range. All right, he's done. Jordan's hurt. His wrist is hurt. He's done. Like I was just like one after another. I was impressed by JT because JT he's been like a B+ this year, but there was a lot of mojo surrounding him. And he handled it very well and he played very nicely. So like that was a good thing. And he looked like he was in good form, but he did good. He did very well, but overall it, coming into this week, I feel like
you said that was right. What's the negative with Scottie on this? You said the positive.
No, the negative was if he gets caught up in the media,
right,
maelstrom, and then like it kind of distracts him away from his routine and his work ethic and his familyness and all that because of what that tends to do to people. But like I honestly think it'll go the other way. It'll just be more fuel for his fire because he'll be thinking, damn, if that didn't happen to me, I would have won by 5.
Yeah, his poor caddy. I said on the Monday show, his poor caddy is fill-in caddy on Saturday when Scheffler went not OB, but outside the fence line. He looked like he was going to puke. I mean, his caddy thought, I'm going to puke.
Yeah.
I am ruining the best golfer in the world. I don't want to be here.
It was a big moment, and like, don't trip and fall, like when you're carrying the bag, but like he was probably counting his steps, It made the simple details difficult in life.
What hole are we on?
Yeah.
Checks watch. All right. Yeah. So do you believe there's any fatigue factor? I could see it definitely with Scheffler coming, with that adrenaline and the amount of, angst and drama that went on and going back home to the baby, blah, blah, blah. He's still the best golfer in the world, best golfer in the field, no doubt. But do you see any sort of fatigue factor for these guys going to Texas now, to Colonial?
No, I think that, I think that somebody like Colin, had he contended more, maybe you could argue that, but he really wants to win. He really wants to get back. So I think he would be more motivated than he would be tired. And that would be like a good example of it. Homa didn't really contend. Spieth didn't contend. So I think that, Spieth needs to get his act together. I think all these guys, Homa needs to win. I think all these guys.
You said there's a wrist issue with Spieth that you saw specifically?
Yeah.
Okay.
His wrist comes like it locks up, right? And when that happens, he has issues, and it can happen at any time. So you notice, okay, so what's Spieth really good at right now, statistically? Comments?
I mean, he's been a better driver of the ball.
Okay,
and
let me ask you a question real quick.
Sure.
Where does the ball sit when you drive it?
Where's the ball? What?
Where does it sit when you drive it?
On the tee?
Where does it start from? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Hang on. Right. When you hit irons, his approach game has been difficult at times to watch. Right. Okay. Yeah. Where's that ball sit?
Yeah, it's on the ground.
Okay. And we're talking lead wrist here. Right. So like, right.
He can't get it up. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think you want to beat the best players in the world. You're not going to shudder going into turf.
Yep. Yeah.
That's hard. It's a hard game. Like, I don't know what to tell you, but anyway, moving along.
Okay. So in the top class, then Morikawa. So but going back to this course itself, Colonial, I've always had it as it's tactical and you have to be a good scrambler. I mean, the Kevin Na archetype for me, pretty good iron player, hits fairways. There's a lot of overhanging trees. I remember when he won here, he scrambled his ass off. Small greens.
Yep.
Kisner types, Na types, Spieth types when he was in form, right? Yep. What is sort of the profile of person you're looking at this week?
Certainly approach. Geez, how do I want to handle this conversation? All right, let's talk history. So this is the 78th edition. Let's go through 77 of them, right, real quick. Approach was a huge factor from 125 to 175. absolutely hitting your number, hitting these greens. They were softish. They're small, but I mean, these guys are very good with a wedge in their hand. And they had to putt the lights out, a la Harry Hall last year, who was a great putter, just lighting up the cup. And both of those things are on point. But 3 of the last 5 winners lost strokes around the green against the field. So I'm not so sure that scrambling really mattered unless it was a short par 4 and you're talking about like pitches from 50 yards to score, or on the par 5s or something like that. So like really, I'm not sure that around the green was that big a deal. And it was like Pebble Beach or Valspar or YLA or Heritage off the tee, right? They just keep it between the trees. So fast forward a year and the 11-month restoration that Gil Hans just did. And I talked to a couple people that are there and also about like how it all went and everything. And the place is like, the greens are super firm. Now we're talking about Dallas. And I said, well, wait a second. You guys got 3.5 inches of rain in May. They're like, yeah, the golf course is soft, but the greens are firm because anytime you redo greens, they're firm. And in fact, they put the back 9 in before the front 9. So the front 9's like super firm and the back 9 is a little bit softer, but it's still firm. Right. So, and now one of the things that they wanted to do to get back to the Perry Maxwell, like original design, was that, they wanted to bring the ground game into play. So I call it aerial architecture. Some people call it target golf, whatever. That just means that like you get up and you don't play golf on the ground, right? You just hit it up in the air, you find your number, it lands and it stays there and then you putt it in, right? But like when you have to play the ground game, it happens more in Scotland, but it happened a lot at Southern Hills, another Perry Maxwell golf course, where, you have to maybe hit spots that aren't on the green or in front of the green. And Hans is going to emphasize a ton of that. So in my mind, approach is going to become even more important because you're going to have to really hit your numbers. And those numbers might not be on the green, right? Putting is going to be even more important because to all 132 players involved, like these are brand new greens. All 18 of them were redone, right? And so if you're not favoring putting this week, I feel like you just have to, because good putters are good green readers and everyone's reading these for the first time. And the reports out there are that they are perfect. They're very firm, but they're perfect. So like there's 2 things there. And then I will go back to what you said, which I'm not sure historically was so true, but I think scrambling is going to play a huge role this week.
Well, I think, Berger, Na, Rose, winners here. Kirk Spieth.
But those are the 3 things that, and who can game plan really well. I mean, it just really suits Scottie because Scottie is the most cerebral player out there, and he's got the best guy along with him to tell him what to do. So like, it's difficult to go against him. But if we're always talking about a lot of different names. Those are the traits that I'm looking at based upon, the research that I'm getting.
Do you, who's your lean right now in the sort of the, maybe not the Scottie range, but the mid range, right?
I feel like it's a really good week for Tom Hoge.
I was just going to say that his course history here is not great.
It's not, but he's doing some things to change that up. The guy's a Fort Worth guy. He went to TCU, which is last time I checked in Fort Worth. But his caddy this week is James Edmondson, who is a multiple club champion at Colonial.
Mm-hmm.
So, who's beating Scottie? Nobody. But like, you need an edge or something. Like you need something. And like I was looking at the numbers because I was always curious. Like Tom Hoge's so good in that range, like 100 to 175. His average proximity to the hole is 21 feet in that 75-yard range. 21 feet average. That's unbelievable. It's so
Denny Floplag. You loved Denny McCarthy last week.
Yeah, God, terrible. And Sepp was terrible too. Rahm was terrible.
Rahm seems to be problematic right now.
Big time.
Yeah. I think this, one major fine warm up, second major, his counterparts on Live Tour are smoking him right now.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's got to be bothering him.
Oh, you could see it last week.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't have gone near that guy after his round on Friday.
But you had some people pop out of nowhere, like Tom Kim. Tom Kim last week. You said it was be a putting contest, and
which for the most part it was at the top of the board.
Yeah,
but like a vast majority. But Tom Kim's been pretty good at majors throughout his career, and he doesn't show up at other times. I don't know. Tom Kim's not like huge on my radar in that middle this week, but I would have a tough time arguing against him.
I think Brian Harmon looked good last week.
Awesome. Really good. He had no business on that golf course coming in. What? Let's see. 26th. No business.
No, on Friday he looked really good. I mean, he lipped out 4 or 5 putts.
Yeah. And the scrambling and the putting around Colonial with when what did he gain? Like 6 on approach or something? Yeah. So like Harmon for me is definitely a part of my card. That's for sure.
Who else? Who else is on your card there, Kim? King Keith.
I was really like one of the guys I was most impressed by and have been for a couple of weeks now because he's really turned things around since last year when he was crying at Memorial, and that's Billy Horschel.
Yeah.
I mean, Billy Horschel is gaining like something stupid, like 7 strokes on the field per tournament. Like it's crazy good. In his last, like, I forget what I wrote and read the line today, but it was like in his last 8 events, he has like 5 top 20s or something. I think if I'm remembering the right person, but he's always been a great scrambler, great putter, and a great long iron player. He's just getting the ball in play and he's playing to his strengths. And he was 8th at that golf course. Another guy that's not super long, but showed that if you could play positional golf, like you could compete at that place. Same thing with Colin, and Colin did it really again without approach play, but Horschel looks good. And you would think he'd be a great fit for a place like Colonial, like a Hoagie.
It screams a Horschel type to me. It screams a Burger type to me who won here, right? I don't know if he is. I don't know if he's the form yet, but
yeah. Another guy that looked impressive last week that continually does this in majors, like when it wasn't difficult last week. Certainly not to the level that most people wanted it to be, but Harris English looked really strong. Always great with the putter. But like when he pops with his irons, then he tends to go on like little mini runs.
And a flop lag from Wells Fargo who disappointed us. I said, you know what? Harris English is going to crush us in the major. He doesn't hit fairways, and he just knows how to stay out of trouble and score. Yeah. And sure enough, right?
Yeah. And like, I do agree with people that say that like Seabass is going to bounce back because that wasn't a good course fit for him last week. And this is, so I get that, but I think in that range that some of these people just attract more of my attention. He's got so much chatter online.
Yeah. Right? I think Seabass may be a trap. I'm looking more for flop lags. McCarthy, I don't want to necessarily go back to him, but it's interesting to me. The two that are really performing well in different areas of their game that they typically did not was McNeely and Hubbard, right? Hubbard looked incredible last week for a course that you thought he would have no shot on, right? But he's a great putter.
The problem with McNeely is that he's really, really separated himself as a driver of the golf ball, and that is mitigated here, right?
But
like
he used to be a great putter, right? I mean,
he's definitely a great putter. Don't get me wrong, but like and he was a decent iron player, but like all those early years on tour, like he's become a much better OTT player, and you can see how consistent he's been. But like, it's just that doesn't mean that Jason Kokrak's long and he won here, but like, and Scottie is long and Scottie will win. But like, at the end of the day,
right?
Like I think that if we're splitting hairs in the middle there, I'd rather go with Billy Horschel than Matt McNeely or something like that. Like that's just the way I kind of see it and what I'm hearing about what they did with the restoration. I mean, I really think the ground game is going to be important. I really think that guys that were good at Southern Hills, which isn't like shocking anyone that like that comparison exists. Guys that were good at Valspar, guys that are good overseas, right? In the Open Championship. It's very hard in golf to not hit the green and convince yourself that like the target is off the green to bounce it in or something like that. And it's going to be kind of weird like that this week. I
think it's a lot to like in that lower range in terms of guys that you profile there. I mean, maybe they don't profile perfectly, but like a Michael Kim, a Novak to me, a Brendan Todd, You're not
What
nodding
price
here yet.
range are you in there now?
I mean, lower than 7. I mean, like I'm talking discount. I don't want to say
Yeah.
Webb Simpson, but he's always on my mind.
Yeah.
But
I mean, an interesting guy in the mid sixes to me was that somebody who hit the ball really good last week was Svensson, but the
yeah,
putter is always an issue, right? Like,
Yep.
so you got to tread lightly there. Justin Lauer's there. I mean, that's a good idea. Novak's a good idea
good
in
putter.
that range, you know, for sure.
Who Højgaard continues to show up. Him and his brother continue to show up in majors, by the way.
Oh, yeah. I mean, those guys are, I mean, one of them's on a Ryder Cup. They're good. They're really good.
Who is your pick this week then, right now, at this point?
To win the thing?
No. Maybe a non-Scheffler. If it's going to be Scheffler, say Scheffler, but you need a non-Scheffler.
Yeah. Winner without Scheffler would be Hoagie.
Okay.
So here's an interesting name for you. And I'm, for the group, I'm going to mention it because he's down in that Scottie land. So if you're going to compare him with Scott, like if you're going to take Scottie, you need like maybe a strong 5. I've seen some good things lately out of Davis Riley, and this is a good fit golf course for him when he was playing very well.
Valspar Davis Riley, right?
Yeah. Yep. And he's down there at like 58, and like really like the way he's played 80% of this year, he should be like 5,000. But like he's had some moments lately, and
he's very Taylor Moore to me minus, right?
Well, yeah, he's like a super poor man's Taylor Moore, and Taylor Moore is featured on my card, and people are like, "Oh, you're crazy about Taylor Moore," and I was like, "Man, Taylor Moore,
yeah, he's great."
Taylor Moore is like for me at plus 6,600. Like there's like 5 guys in the 40s and 50s. I would say that Taylor Moore has a better chance of winning than them. Like
pound for pound, Xander and Taylor Moore get it out there longer for their height than anyone.
I mean, Taylor Moore is a really good scrambler and a really good putter and scorer, right? He kind of like understands how to play the game for whatever reason, and that's important. A lot of guys are like super talented, but they don't know how to like play golf, right? Like they've never been taught how to score, how to like,
important.
I mean, yeah, but like they're so talented, they just make it like through the system. But
hey, quick question: do you know how to play golf? No. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's not chase; it's called golf. Like you should come up with a plan before you hit the ball, not just go find it, right? That sort of thing. And also down in the 5s, I think Martin Laird's always a good pick. He's been playing
Party Marty.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't see your guy Sammy Valmaki.
Yeah, it's not a good fit. I watched him miss the cut on Friday on the 9th green, and he needed to make birdie.
I was because I was supporting Kentucky and I was trying to be positive about golf, and I was like, this is kind of hitting home, and all these negative Nellies are just driving me crazy. So I was going to make fun of his shirt as the worst shirt ever worn on a tour event.
Oh my God.
It looked like a baby's diaper, right?
It almost looks like if the marketing team at UPS blended the 2 colors.
Who put it in that shirt? It's not even a color. Oh. The poor guy. No wonder he missed the cut. But he's a big boy.
Yeah. If you don't know, ask somebody. He's a big dude. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But I really think that there is some thunder in the middle of this board, right? Like between the 7s and the 8s and the 9s, like you could put together a really powerful lineup.
Taylor Moore, bad price. Berger, bad price. McNeely, still good. Hubbard, good. I mean, those are bad. Poston. I mean, course history here, surprising to me, is not great, but this seems like a Poston course to me, right?
Yeah, but he hasn't been as good as he was in the beginning of the year, and you need to use your recency bias there. I would take Aaron Rye over him 100% right now.
What about Bo
Hossler? Chris Kirk.
Oh, always Chris Kirk. Always.
Yeah. Lucas Glover, I'm sure Andy's probably mentioned him. I mean, the guy, like he won't win because he can't make enough putts, but he'll never miss the cut because he hits every fairway. The guy's there. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And I mean, he chips it good. He does everything good. Poor guy can't putt.
They give last year's winner a 7.1K price in Griot. Brendan Todd, I always love 7K.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot to like. And then they price Adam Scott up to 9-2. Who had a terrible week last week. The biggest kill last week, two of them, was Aubert and Keith Mitchell to me.
Well, okay. I mean, I have the same name as the guy, but I learned my lesson in Houston, and I'm like, done. Right?
You said that. I tried to not believe it, but it's true.
Yeah, I haven't gone there since, and it'll take me a long time because he ejected in such a way that, and like he is this like darling of a statistical anomaly, right? But he doesn't score to the level of his talent. He is a top 5 driver of the golf ball on tour. Like I don't care if you're playing Pebble, the guy plays great there. He just hits driver everywhere, and he just stripes it, Right. And that's a huge advantage in all these fields. And his approach game has been equally as good, but man, that guy does not score. And in an event like this, maybe he hangs around or something like that. But
but not in the field this week. But look who came last week, who has not been putting. Probably the worst out of his peers is Lowry. Right, all of a sudden Lowry finds it, and just Lowry in majors.
Guy's legit. I mean, he's got 2 wins on tour. One was a WGC at Firestone, and the other one was, the Open in his home country. I mean, think about the way he embraced that championship in Ireland, and Rory made quad on the first hole, like totally, like he's like, I'm out, 1 hole in, not even first tee shot, hit it off the planet.
That was Portrush.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think
he does that at Masters. Rory does.
Yeah, I mean. I think Tony going to do it again is if he's not getting a ton of
Finau
ownership, I think he'll be around. I think the putter.
He looked good last week. He looked decent. I thought he could win.
Oh yeah, no, I mean Tony's been hitting the ball great. He can't score, but if you're looking for like a cog in the works there, a foundational brick, I feel like that's somebody you can rely on right now. That his ball striking is not going to go away. I think the perfect example of someone not to get trapped with this week is Minwoo Lee.
Oh, absolutely.
He's like a top 3 driver of the golf ball on tour, and his iron game is deficient.
We lucked out. I said on Monday, we maximize what we can get of Minwoo Lee last week. Right, it was a big pick of mine, big driver of the ball. We lucked out with a lot of stuff. He had some big time chip ins, but at 9-2, 9-7 this week, no shot.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Like one of the guys right near there that will be very difficult to say, and I'm just avoiding him because if you miss it, you miss it. But because I don't really have a leg to stand on to say hey, it is time for Sung Jae. It's time to get in on him, right? But man, I don't know. And this golf course should be a good fit for him, but I don't know. I can't get involved in that. But if he did something this week, that wouldn't surprise me.
Right.
If Minwoo Lee did something this week, that would surprise me. But if Sanjay did, I'd be like, all right, he was 4th at Quail, missed the cut last week, but he's showing signs.
I think Finau could win. I think Finau could win.
Oh yeah. 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 Question is what do you do with Scottie?
Yeah. His arraignment's June 3rd. I mean, this stuff's got to be the back of his mind. Does he need to win at that price? Depends on what his peers 2K below do, but I don't think it'll be a ton of scoring this week. What do you think? -11?
It's pretty soft other than the green surfaces. So I wouldn't be surprised. And the wind doesn't look crazy. Where's my wind notes?
I thought you said it's really fast.
Mid-teens for wind out of the south. And, the ball is going to be flying because it's supposed to be 90 degrees. So it'll be humid as heck down there. If a guy can scramble really well and putt really well, I could see them pushing 15.
Okay. So not extraordinary, but
Oh no. This is a there are some difficult approach shots here, and they're only going to get harder with what Gill did. I'm sure. He's very good at what he does. So,
all right,
no doubt about it.
There you go, Tommy Hoagie. It's Tom week.
Yeah, I mean no Mayo, but I'll take a hoagie all day.
Good luck to the Rangers.
Thank you.
I'll cheer them on.
Peace.
Peace, brother.